Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dhanush channel. We are continuing our discussion on the budget 2025-26. So far, I have made 4 videos. Unfortunately, in the last 2 videos, there was no screen recording, so it was looking like blank. So I'll just give a quick recap what we have discussed in my last session, along with what we are going to discuss today. So we all know that this year budget, it was based on the theme of Viksit Bharat. That is, by 2047, we have to achieve this Viksit Bharat. And how that is going to be dependent on? It is going to depend on Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, where they wanted to take every sections of the society along with every region to grow by 2047. So it was intra-regional and inter-regional development that Government of India is focusing on to attain Viksit Bharat by 2047. So as I said, this budget is conceived as a bus which is moving from its source to the destination point. Now, as for this bus, we require some engines, it required some fuel, it required some destination, and it required some spirit to move on. So what are the engines that Government of India has thought for this year budget 2026 is, there are 4 engines for this bus. The first engine that they thought is to have reforms in agriculture sector. The second engine is MSMEs. The third engine that we have discussed the other day, by the way, is investments. And in the investments, they have focused on 3 types of investments: investments on the people, investments on the infrastructure, that is economy, and investments on the innovation. The fourth thing that they were focusing on, the fourth engine, by the way, this year is exports promotion. So in this video, I'll be looking after what Government of India is focusing on the exports. Among all these 4 engines, the most important engine, or the engine which was a bit lengthy in the budget, was the third engine of the growth, that is innovation and investments. So the fourth engine is exports. Today, I'll just go for a quick recap. And for those students who have watched my other video without that background of PDF, you can download the PDF in the Telegram channel that we have provided you in the chat box or description box given in this YouTube channel. You can go through it and you can download it and you can have a look at it. However, for a quick analysis of you people, I'll be starting that today itself. Again, I'll go through this. So please allow me to share the screen. So this was the 4th engine of growth, or the class number 5, 4th engine. In the first class, I have discussed about what are the statistical component of this budget. In the second class, third class, 4th class, I have discussed 3 engines, and this is the last engine of the growth, that is exports and imports. So this was what we have discussed so far, and this is what we have been coming out. So the fuel for this bus is the reforms, and the spirit is inclusivity, and the destination for this bus is Viksit Bharat by 2047. So this is what we have to discuss today. Let's start with the 4th engine before going into the discussion that we had the other day. So if you look at the 4th engine of growth, the first one is exports as the 4th engine. Here we do not have much. That they are focusing on 5 things. First one is they wanted to develop an export promotion mission. Here what they will do is, there are 3 to 4 ministries where they wanted to coordinate with each and every ministry and to develop these exports. The ministries that they wanted to coordinate is the manufacturing ministry, that is MSMEs, Ministry of MSMEs. The second one is export import ministry, that is Ministry of Commerce. And the third one is the ministry which gives them money, that is called finance ministry. Through this 3 ministries coordination, they wanted to promote the exports in the country. And through this, they will be giving credit for the exporters. And then they will be giving cross-border support. If some MSMEs are exporting their products to other countries, there they will be giving you some facilitation arrangements. The third one is they are giving support to MSMEs who are looking into the exports in terms of credit and in terms of non-tariff help also. In majority of the countries, MSMEs are facing this problem in their exports, that is, they are facing tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff barriers is something which is worrying the MSME sector. In order to overcome this problem, the Government of India has been giving support for this MSMEs through export promotion mission. This was launched in this year budget. We have to wait and watch how the modalities are going to work out down the line. The next one is Bharat Trade Net. This is just like you can compare with the e-national agricultural market for the farmers. They wanted to develop an e-commerce public infrastructure site for the export promotions. So Bharat Trade Net, it is just a digital public infrastructure where all the documentation works can be done. If I'm an exporter, if I want to get some documentation work, if I want to get some license, I can go to this site directly, I can file up the documents, and then I can get the permissions very easily. So this was the second thing that they wanted to make ease of doing business in the exports. First one is export promotion mission. The second one that they are focusing on is Bharat Trade Net. The third one that they are focusing is they wanted to make India as an integration point of global supply chains. So our domestic manufacturers will be given the support to show that whatever the global supply chains are being developed, what is a global supply chain? If a product is being developed in one part of the country today, that product is not being manufactured entirely in one country, it is being developed in different parts of the countries. So India wanted to be a key role in these global supply chains, and they wanted to mix this integrate Indian economy with this global supply chain economy. By the way, global supply chain economy is dominated by China today. We wanted to take a part of that and be an exporter of global supply chain industries in the country. The next one is they wanted to ensure that Industry 4.0 is generating, that is artificial intelligence is being generated in the country. What government of India wanted to focus is, India wanted to focus on this development, thereby mix this artificial intelligence with the development of industries and development of export centers. That is what they are focusing. So just third thing is integration with global supply chains. The fourth thing is they wanted to prepare a national framework for global capacity centers. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to build up tier 2 cities in the country with a capacity center where they can go and they can create something like export business altogether in this tier 2 cities. They will be focusing on all the tier 2 cities or major tier 2 cities. They will be developing the infrastructure there, and in this infrastructure they will be giving you some processing edge, and from that edge you can be able to export. So these are the four things that they are focusing on. So there is a quick summary, only four things in this budget as far as this engine is considered. Export promotion mission. To promote exports, they are exclusively focusing on integration of the line ministries, that is Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of MSME, and through this coordination they wanted to do it. Bharat Trade Net, this will be on digital public infrastructure through which they wanted to do or make ease of doing business to be very fast in the country. The third one is global network framework for global capability centers. This is in the global supply chains. We want to make sure that India is taking a part. The fourth one, by the way, is also this one, warehousing facility for air cargo. Government of India wants to ensure that there is air cargo facilities to be developed so that so far export-import business is done in the routes that we find, particularly the so-called shipping is the major thing. Now, in order to develop this exports-imports, Government of India is also looking at air carriers. For that, they wanted to develop a separate air transportation or civil aviation sector for this business. As a result, this air cargo facilities are being upgraded in the country. So these are the four things that they have done as far as this fourth engine is considered. Export promotion mission, BharatNet mission, we want to develop something like global supply chains, global capacity center, and the next one is air cargo facilities to provide this. Right, particularly this air cargo. Normally, shipping industry will be used for developing or transporting that goods which are not perishable in nature. If you have some perishable commodities that has to be airlifted or that has to be transported to other countries, they will be using this route called air cargo route. These are the things that they are focusing on. So these are the four engines that Government of India has clearly stated that we are going to focus on in this budget, and the major part of the budget discussion was on all these things. The next thing that Sitharaman has discussed is on the reform side, which is the spirit of it. I'll come to the reforms in my next video, but before that, let's have a quick look about what was discussed in my earlier class. This is class number 4, where the third engine was on investments. As I said, this is the most important engine among all the four engines that the government have discussed. So the first thing that they focused is investment on the people, investment on the economy, investment on the innovations. For the people, they have focused on Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0, where I have discussed what is this Saksham Anganwadi and 2.0 Poshan. This is an rechristened form of integrated child development services. Poshan means Prime Minister overarching scheme for holistic nourishment of the children. So this will be focusing on the pregnant women, lactating mothers, children up to 6 years of age, and then the adolescent girls between 14 to 18 years of age. So Government of India is focusing on nutritional support through this Saksham, Anganwadis and Poshan 2.0. This year also they are focusing on this, and they are going to extend this nutritional support to 8 crore children and 1 crore pregnant women and 20 lakh adolescent girls. This is what Sitharaman has stated in her budget speech. The second one that we have discussed the other day is Atal Tinkering Labs. So these labs are the labs which will be present in the government schools to develop the so-called scientific temper among the school-going students, where they will be conducting some science fair or science exhibitions in the school, and there will be a separate classroom that will be dedicated for it. This is called Atal Tinkering Labs, and this was started by Niti Aayog way back in the year 2016, and this is a continuation of that program, where this year Government of India want to establish some more Atal Tinkering Labs. So the total goal was in the next coming 5 years, they wanted to develop in 50,000 government schools some 50,000 Atal Tinkering Labs. This is the next thing. The third one is to reach the so-called broadband connectivity to primary healthcare centers and the so-called higher secondary education. Secondary education means class 6 to class 10. They wanted to focus and they wanted to develop normally up to class 12 also it will come. So in these schools, they wanted to develop broadband connectivity through BharatNet project. BharatNet project was started way back in the year 2014 as a product of Digital India Mission. They wanted to develop this. What is BharatNet project? They wanted to connect all the village panchayats in the country through a fiber optic cable, and that works was already under consideration. Now they wanted to expand this to the so-called from the panchayat level. They wanted to take to the schools, that is secondary schools, as well as the primary healthcare hospitals, so that they wanted to advance this telemedicine and teleeducation in the country. So in that connectivity, these are the three things that they have focused on as far as education is considered. And the next most important thing is Bharatiya Bhasha Pustak scheme. Bharatiya Bhasha Pustak scheme is converting the higher education subjects or secondary education subjects into the languages which people can understand, that is into the regional languages of the country. That is called digital form of Indian language books are being developed here. The next one is National Center for Excellence for Skilling. In the last year budget, that is in July 2024, Government of India has launched two schemes as far as skilling is considered. Now they wanted to ensure that that skilling program is being developed. Whereas Make for India, Make in India, Make for the World is the theme that they have set up. We have to wait and watch how this is going to happen. But they wanted to develop this as National Centers for Skilling, and most importantly in this last year budget itself, they said that they are going to develop 5 national centers of excellence for skilling for the youth of this country. In this budget, Nirmala Sitharaman said that we are going to support the same cause that we have started last year, where we will be developing or we will be pulling this 5 centers of excellence for skilling to be materialized in the country. After that, the expansion of capacities in IITs as well as in the medical education, this is what they have focused. So Finance Minister Sitharaman claims that in the last 10 years, the total number of enrollments into the premier institutions of the country, that is IITs, has been doubled. And the total number of IITs has reached to 23, right? This is the thing that they have done. Government of India in the last 10 years have added 5 IITs, making the number of IITs to go to 23, and the total enrollments were also almost doubled from 65,000 students to 1.35 lakh students. Now, in the upcoming days, they wanted to focus on IIT Patna, where they will be expanding the infrastructure, because Patna, as I said, as a part of Viksit Bharat or inclusive Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas program, they wanted to bring up the momentum in the Bihar. So, for the state of Bihar, they are exclusively focusing on IIT Patna to develop this. So, next one is Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence for Education. So, as artificial intelligence is making strides into the economy, we can observe that Government of India way back in the year 2023, 4 years back, Government of India has started some centers of excellence for artificial intelligence in 3 domains. One is in agriculture, in health, and the sustainable cities. So in agriculture, health, and sustainable cities, we already have started artificial intelligence centers of excellence. In this year budget, Nirmala Sitharaman announces that we are going to extend this to the 4th segment, that is called education, and that is what we mean by Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence for Education. For this, Sitharaman has given a total fund of 500 crore rupees. Next, expansion of medical education in line with the expansion of the so-called technical education, that is IIT education. Sitharaman also states that in the last 10 years, the total number of enrollments into the undergraduation and post-graduation into the medical field has almost increased by 130%. Right. In the upcoming years, what Government of India wanted to do is, in the next 5 years, government wanted to add a capacity of 75,000 more seats into the medical field. That will be started from this year with an capacity addition of 10,000 additional seats this year. So that is what Sitharaman has claimed again in this budget. The next one is, as the majority of the sections of people are suffering from emerging diseases like cancer, and we all know that cancer requires some 24/7 medical treatment or some support. So what Government of India said is, in every district there will be one district daycare center for cancer patients in all the districts. They wanted to develop within 3 years in all the districts some special daycare centers for cancer patients in this year. So this has to be attained in the next 3 years in the entire country. For this year, they have targeted 200 cities or 200 districts. Next one is strengthening of urban livelihood. So in order to promote the so-called urban livelihood, Government of India is giving support to the so-called street vendors through Pradhan Mantri Swanidhi scheme. Swanidhi scheme was again an old scheme where it speaks about the so-called street vendor Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the Government of India will be giving some credit to the so-called street vendors, and Government of India is continuing the same thing in this year budget also. And what they did is, Sitharaman claims that in the last few years since the introduction of this Swanidhi, 68 lakhs street vendors have been benefited. Now what they wanted to do is, they wanted to expand this limit through which you can go and borrow from this Swanidhi scheme. Earlier it was 10,000 rupees that a street vendor can get from the bank. Now they have expanded it to 10,000 to 30,000. So 30,000 is the limit through which the street vendors can get some credit under PM Swanidhi as per the latest budget. Subsequently, in order to give promotion to livelihood in the urban areas, Government of India is also focusing on the gig workers. This is some great achievement or great announcement in the budget, because so far the gig workers were not given any social security cover, be it in the labor reforms that the Government of India has started in the year 2021 or many other the state reforms that the respective states have taken, except one or two, such as Rajasthan and the state of Karnataka, who has tried to come out with this so-called gig workers reforms. At all India level, there is no security for the gig workers, by the way, which is an expanding employment generating avenue. So Government of India this year, they have announced that under Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Yojana, all the gig workers will be given free medical insurance. So we know that under Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Yojana, one family will get a support of up to 5 lakh rupees for the eligible beneficiaries. This is what they have said, and they will be doing the same thing for the so-called online platform workers. In this context or in this text, we should also not forget that last year Prime Minister Modi has announced that for all the senior citizens who are aged 60 years and above, Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat will be applicable at free of cost to all these people. So today Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat Yojana, if we look at this, which is a component of Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, they are expanding this base, and they wanted to ensure that these online platform workers are getting this support. This is about investment in the people. So if you look at the investment in the people, they are focusing on investment in health, they are focusing on investment in the education, such as IITs and the so-called medical education, and then they have focused on something called giving support to the urban livelihood people in the form of gig workers, and then they have focused on Swanidhi scheme, and then they have also focused on some other things like daycare centers for all the people who are suffering from cancers in all the districts, and artificial intelligence to be tapped up in education sector. So this is the first investment option, that is investment on the people. The second one is you have to invest in the economy also to propel the economy. For that, what Government of India has started is, Government of India is going to revive the PPP projects, whereby we can leverage the potential of public sector and private sector for infrastructure projects. For that, Government of India has started, or in this speech, Nirmala Sitharaman stated that we are going to reinvigorate this PPP projects in the next 3 years. For that, what they wanted to do is, they wanted to make the funds available for this PPP projects through IIPDF, that is Indian Infrastructure Project Development Fund. Indian Infrastructure Project Development Fund is a fund which is available, and now they wanted to use this funds for this purpose. Now, support for states to infrastructure, as we are looking for the so-called Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, Government of India is giving 1.5 lakh crore interest-free loans to the states who are doing some infrastructure projects or who are investing in capital infrastructure. For that, Government of India has allotted 1.5 lakh crores. Now again, this is not a new scheme, this is a scheme which is present earlier, and this is a 50-year interest-free loans that is available. Next one is asset monetization pipeline. We know that asset monetization pipeline was started in the year 2021 up to the year 2025. With this financial year, it has to end. However, Sitharaman said that this will be continued for the next 5 years, that is up to 2030, where Government of India is trying to put somewhere around 10 lakh crore rupees for infrastructure projects. Now, what is asset monetization plan? Asset monetization means whatever the assets that Government of India has, they will be giving it for lease for the private people. They will be monetizing that asset, so that they wanted to ensure that they are plowing back the capital from these assets. This is how asset monetization pipeline was launched in the year 2021. And they are continuing this with a proposal of, or with a goal of getting 10 lakh crore rupees in the upcoming days. Next one is Jal Jeevan Mission. It is very heartening to know that 80% of the rural areas in the country has attained a functional drinking water under Jal Jeevan Mission, which was started in the year 2019. And the remaining 20%, what Nirmala Sitharaman says is we are going to achieve in the upcoming 3 years. By 2029, we have to achieve. 2028, we have to achieve it. So for that, she has also given some funding this year. Next, to propose the so-called urban sector reforms, Urban Challenge Fund was started. What is this Urban Challenge Fund? If there are some challenges for the urban development, and if there are some people who are having some innovative solutions, say for example, this is the example that I gave in my yesterday's class. If you are staying in Chennai, one of the biggest problems for the city of Chennai is a drinking water problem. And if you do have a solution to provide drinking water to the city of Chennai, you can come out with the plan and you can provide it. And that is the challenge that Government of India will give you. Come out with the solution, try to implement it with the support from, take money from your pocket. Government of India will also add its money, and through that you can develop this problem, or you can overcome this problem for all the major cities. This is called Urban Challenge Fund, and for this Government of India is trying to keep 1 lakh crore into this. In this budget, they are also allocating some money of 10,000 crores. And the remaining amount has to be pulled from private sector and the people who are proposing these projects. In line with this, power sector reforms are also being taken up by the Government of India. This is again the revival of the so-called DISCOMs. We already know that DISCOMs were focused by the government ever since Prime Minister Modi has taken the power. So under the so-called Uday scheme, Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, Government of India has already revived the financial health of majority of the public sector distribution companies. In this line, Government of India this year also wanted to propose these reforms in the DISCOMs, whereby government will be giving some extra borrowing capacities for the states if they are reviving their public DISCOM companies. So 0.5% of extra borrowing limit was given to the states. Next one is Nuclear Energy Mission for Viksit Bharat. Government of India is focusing on development of 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy by 2047. So last year budget, Nirmala Sitharaman made it very clear that as we want to diversify our energy basket, we cannot just depend on the fossil fuels. We have to also go for some other fuels such as the so-called solar, the wind, and this time they are focusing on the nuclear energy capabilities also. For that, Nirmala Sitharaman has proposed that we are going to revive the nuclear energy electrical generation, and the target is 100 gigawatts by 2047. But what are the major challenges in developing this nuclear energy that we'll see in science and technology? The major challenges are two. One is the Atomic Energy Act. What are the limitations of that? I'll discuss that in science and technology current affairs. The second one is Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act. This was also recently in news. So what is the Civil Liabilities for Nuclear Damages Act? These two things I will take when I come to the science and technology. So Government of India wanted to amend this and generate and clear the way for the generation of nuclear energy in the country. So for that, government may amend these two things in the coming year. And to develop nuclear power plants, Government of India is focusing on small modular reactors. What is a small modular reactor? Again, I will be looking at it in science and technology. For that, Government of India has allocated 20,000 crores. And by 2023, what government wanted to develop is 5 small modular reactors for development of nuclear energy. Subsequently, for shipping industry, they wanted to develop some infrastructure for shipping industry. Next one is Maritime Development Fund. This is for comprehensive development of the coastal area communities. For this, Government of India has allotted 25,000 crores in the Maritime Development Fund. The next one is UDAN. We already know that UDAN scheme was launched by Government of India to connect the unserved areas and underserved areas of the country. And almost 88 airports were launched under UDAN scheme, and 619 routes were given air connectivity by this government. In this, with this inspiration, Government of India wanted to continue this further, whereby they wanted to start airport connectivity to 120 new districts in the next 10 years, which have a capacity of 4 crore passenger carrying capacity every day. This was the goal that Government of India has set. And as I said, this budget has given more focus on the state of Bihar. So in that line, they wanted to develop one greenfield airport in Bihar. And the second one is in order to develop irrigation facilities in Bihar, they have started Western Koshi Canal project in Mithilanchal. So they wanted to develop some irrigation facilities for almost 50,000 hectares in the Mithilanchal region, by the way, which is very, very poor region in the state of Bihar, where water facilities are not available for the farmer. By developing this Koshi River project, they wanted to link the water from this canal to from this river through a canal to this project. Through this, they wanted to develop the irrigation facilities there. And then Government of India also is looking for reforms in the mining sector, where Government of India has appreciated the state's capabilities in bringing the reforms in the mining resources. However, as far as critical resources are considered, Government of India is focusing on the critical resources, and they wanted to amend an act and thereby make these provisions quite easy. And in order to make sure that the middle income families are getting houses at an affordable cost, we know that Swamiya Fund, that is special window for affordable and mid-income housing, was launched by the government, and they are going to continue that scheme in this year budget. Next one is Pradhan Mantri Gati Shakti data for private sector. So in order to assist PPPs in the so-called road transportation or Gati Shakti Yojana, they wanted to develop some more assistance under this data sharing. Next, tourism is the next thing that Government of India is focusing on. Government of India wanted to develop 50 tourist destination centers and gives training for the youth to get some jobs in this touring sector or tourism sector. This is what Government of India has focused as far as economy is considered. In the economy, they have focused on the roads, they have focused on something like tourism development, they have focused on development of all the other sectors such as the so-called housing sector, how Government of India is giving through Swamiya scheme. They wanted to develop Bihar through the irrigation facilities and airportation facilities. Udan scheme, we have seen power sector reforms. All these are the reforms that Government of India wanted to bring to make India ready for 2047, so that we will be propelling into the Viksit Bharat. So the last component that Government of India has started is innovations, or investing in innovations, where Government of India is focusing on deep technology fund of funds, Prime Minister's PM Research Fellowship, and Gene Bank for Crop Germplasm, National Green Geospatial Missions, and Gyan Bharatam Mission. These are all the things that I have discussed in my last video. You can have a look at this. So this was a summary of this discussion. Saksham Anganwadis, expansion capacity of IITs, daycare centers, Bharatiya Bhasha Pustak, National Center for Excellence for Skilling, Atal Tinkering Labs, Center for Excellence in Artificial Intelligence, broadband connectivity to primary healthcare centers and secondary schools, and then expansion of medical education, PM Swanidhi scheme, welfare for gig workers, and then developments focusing on investments such as infrastructure. They wanted to develop the state infrastructure by giving interest-free bonds. Jal Jeevan Mission is to be completed by 2028. Power sector reform, 0.5% additional borrowing capacity for the states. Asset monetization pipeline, which has to be completed by this financial year, they have extended this to 2025 to 30 financial years. And then Urban Challenge Fund to come out with the challenges that the cities have. If you have a creative solution, you can go and give it. As far as maritime is considered, Maritime Development Fund is focused by Government of India, and they have focused on nuclear energy development in the country. And for development of the airports in the country, Udan scheme is being continued in the country. And then for meeting the demands of the state of Bihar, a greenfield airport has to be developed, and the so-called Western Koshi Canal project is also being developed in the country. And for providing the middle income families some housing schemes, Swamiya Fund was also developed along with the tourism sector. And the last one is the reforms in investment in innovation, where Government of India wanted to promote this Pradhan Mantri Research Fellowship scheme and Research Development and Innovation scheme. Jnana Bharatam Mission. Gyan Bharatam Mission is one important thing, where 1 crore manuscripts which are available in the so-called digital library, in the so-called national colleges or universities or with the private people, they will be taking up and they will be converting it into the so-called digital developments. So all these things are launched by Government of India in the budget. So this is what we have discussed in my last budget. Class. For a quick recap, you can have a look at it. Why I made this is those people who are feeling it difficult, or someone has said that they are thinking that it is like a podcast. So in order to just know what is what, I have made this. So this is about our class number 5 as far as budget is considered. With this I have covered the statistics and we have covered the 4 engines of budget. In the next class I will come with what are the reforms that Government of India has brought in this budget. With this, with that video, that will be the last video of this lecture. Then I will start the economic survey. There are 13 chapters. Along with the preface, it makes 14 to 15 videos, right? I'll be focusing on that. Thanks for joining, guys. Have a great day. Wish you all the best.